Hello, and welcome to the Get Lean and Eat Clean podcast. My name is Brian Grin. I'm a certified health coach, trainer, and author. And this podcast is for middle-aged men and women looking to optimize their health and get their bodies back to what it once was 10 to 15 years ago. I will give you simple, actionable items to get long-term sustainable results. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. All right, welcome to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. My name is Brian Grin. I hope you had a great weekend and happy Tuesday. If you're listening to this on Tuesday, hope you had a chance to listen to my interview with health and wellness expert and functional wellness coach, Lynn Rivers. We discussed her steps to go from chronic illness to vibrant wellness, and also touched on shifting your mindset to get optimal results, issues with antibiotics, her daily routine, and much, much more. So if you haven't already, check out my interview with functional wellness coach Lynn Rivers. Now, in today's micro podcast, I will say I probably could have put this one out a little bit earlier, since now we're into the new year and some people are done with their travels, but some people are just starting up. And I figured I'd go through sort of my top 10 list of things that you should do when traveling to stay healthy. Now, don't get me wrong. I think there's nothing wrong with going to places and splurging a little bit and trying, their food and what they have to offer, and sort of doing things a little bit out of the box. But I'm one for routine, as we most are, and I do like to do certain things or try to make sure that I'm not like completely falling off the rails. I know sometimes for people that's difficult, and so I wanted to come up with a list to sort of help you stay on track, but also while enjoying yourself while you're out and traveling. So whether it's business or pleasure, I think it's important to bring healthy options with you, healthy food options. Now, I'm not saying you need to pack another bag full of food. This could be just like a clean health bar that you sort of know and you trust the ingredients, because sometimes when you're going out with colleagues or with family, you maybe don't enjoy the meal, or you feel like it's not filling enough, and it's nice to have that. Not saying you have to bring it with you, but nice to have it there just in case. Also, too, if there's no great options where you're at, let's say you're traveling for business, at least you have like something that you can rely on. So what I like to rely on is a bar that I've used probably for the last, at least 4 or 5 years. It's called Papa Steve's. And I have no affiliation with them. I definitely put a link in the show notes. It's a clean bar, and yeah, you can pronounce the ingredients. So I really enjoy this bar, and I like to have it from time to time and bring it with me when I'm traveling. Number 2 tip would be, as you know, if you've listened to me through the years, I've done on and off with intermittent fasting. And I think it's not a bad time, especially if you're traveling in airports or driving in cars and there's a lot of fast food. I think it's a great opportunity to just fast and just experiment a little bit. Not to say that you can't have something to drink if you want some water, coffee, or tea, but rather than spending money on junk, and it might not even make you feel that great, this is a great opportunity to test and do a little bit of fasting. I tend to fast when I'm on planes. And so I think it's a great opportunity for that. So that's number 2. Number 3 would be get up, when you're on the plane, or if you're in the car, and, I think it's important to get up let's just say once every hour or so, and just move around a little bit. I tend to move to do that. I don't know if the people around me love it, but, got to take care of yourself and, make sure that you're not just getting so stiff on the plane. Get some blood flow. So typically I like to sit in the aisle and get up maybe every hour, and just walk the plane a little bit. So next, drink lots of water. Traveling can be dehydrating. So I think it's important to drink water specifically with minerals in it. So if you can get some type of sparkling or plain mineral water, that would be great, because traveling can cause some dehydration. Also, too, it fills you up a little bit as well. So then you'll be less apt to snack on junk while you're traveling. One thing I like to do, I don't know if most people do it, but I sort of bring a little lumbar pillow for support while sitting on a plane. Or let's say you're traveling for business and you're in meetings all day. I don't know. It's like a small little, those lumbar pillows that you can use to sleep on. I use that for support. So that's just me, and then what I like to do for my low back on planes. Next, this is something I typically bring, especially if know that I'm going to be, doing some golfing or some extracurricular activities, a lacrosse ball, or I like to use what's called a WOD ball. Rogue Fitness makes one. I can definitely put a link in the show notes for that. I just like to bring a small roller that I can use to roll my body, to release trigger points, help me with range of motion. I'm used to doing it at home, and this is something I like to continue when I'm on the road. Next, having some type of morning routine. I mean, you're not home, you're in a different environment. Maybe it's getting up a little bit earlier and just doing some movement, maybe going for a walk or something, especially if you know you're going to be sitting in meetings or something like that. I think it's important to specifically plan out times where you're going to move and do something. It could be a short, strength training, 20 minutes of strength training. It could be just going for a 20-minute walk on the beach. That would be great. Especially if you live in Chicago and you have a chance to get out and get some sun, definitely get out there. So I think it's important to just make sure that you plan out a little bit of activity every day. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, but if you know you're going to be busy for the day with meetings and things like that, maybe get up a little bit early and do a little yoga or something like that in your hotel room, or go out and do some strength training. So something I like to keep up. I will say on vacations, it's not like, at home where I'm sort of, recording my workouts, progressive overload, making sure that I'm getting stronger and things like that. The stuff that I do at home. When I'm on the road, it's just about maintaining. And I think that's important for people. Instead of just falling off the rails completely, I do think it's important to take some days off. So if you feel like it's a great time, if you're traveling to, sort of get into that restorative recovery mode, that's fine. I tend to like to do some type of activities. And so I'll just try to be in that sort of maintenance mode when I'm traveling. Next, when you're going out to dinner, I think it's important to obviously try different foods. And if you're in a different country you've never tried their foods before, go for it. But I also think it's just important to maybe try to, instead of having all fried food, add in some healthy alternatives to help fill you up as well. I try to avoid fried foods as much as possible. I have no really desire to have them. So that's the one thing that's my non-negotiable mainly, unless it's something like out of, I don't know, maybe I'm in New Orleans and I have to try something fried. Maybe I'll try it and that'll be about it. But so try to, I would say, splurge, but also maybe bring in some healthy alternatives, some fruit, some vegetables that'll help sort of balance you out when you're on these trips. Getting sleep can be very difficult, especially when we're traveling. So I think it's important to, if you can, bring a good pillow or buy a good pillow. If you're staying someplace for a while, you got to try to make it feel like it's, comfortable and at home. I know it's hard, especially if you're staying in like a hotel, but then I think it's even more important to have sort of a night routine where you're winding down, maybe doing some meditation or reading a book, something to wind you down for the night, just to make sure that you're trying to get a healthy and quality sleep when we're traveling, which can be difficult sometimes. And those are the main sort of things that I try to do when I'm away. I mentioned staying active. Like I said, I think it's important to just, even if it's just going for a morning walk, something to just stay active while you're traveling. Doesn't have to be a crazy routine, but these are some of the things that sort of keep me down the path that I want to go to. So when I come back home, I get right back into my routine. So hope this helps. Like I said, it's okay to indulge a bit when you're traveling, but you don't really want to fall completely off the rails. And I thought I would just give you these tips that I do to stay healthy when I'm traveling. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me, brian@briangrin.com, and have a great rest of the day. And if you are traveling, try to implement some of these and let me know how it goes. Thanks, and I will talk to you on Friday with another great interview. Thanks for listening to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. I understand there are millions of other podcasts out there, and you've chosen to listen to mine, and I appreciate that. Check out the show notes at briangrin.com for everything that was mentioned in this episode. Feel free to subscribe to the podcast and share it with a friend or family member that's looking to get their body back to what it once was. Thanks again, and have a great day.